ngaphambi ukuthi election salokusi bambe iqhaza kule nto yasesiphingo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, at that time, one of the versions is that, mainly by Colonel Jacobs, is that he, at Isipingo, he then was to go back off duty to his leave and handed over the scene to you. But he puts it much stronger than that. He says he appointed you as the investigator.
Kutholakala ukuthi ke okunye okushiwo la kakhulukazi ngaye ulo Jacob isiphingo lapho uthi ke ngoba phela wasefuneka ukuthi aye lifi atsho iphumule manje kwafuna ukuthi athathe intambo ayiphonse la kuwena.
Yebo. Yebo. Mayisehamba sesiqedile yonke into ukufaka ama-exhibit kwi-13 sesizohamba isiphumile i-decision ukuthi sihambise ama-exhibit ePortshepstone. Washo ukuthi ucela ukuthi ngihambe nabo laba abazoescorta sihambise ama-exhibit ePortshepstone.
Nihambe niwase ePortshepstone.
ePortshepstone, yes.
Yes, indeed. When the time arrived that he needed to leave, he actually handed over to me that I need to go with the people to Portshepstone to transport those goods.
Why saying ngivule inquiry?
He then asked me to open an inquiry.
And I understand, I just want for the record, he appointed you as the investigator, you took over the inquiry.
Kusho ukuthi ngamagama waseqopha wena kuyeqoka ukuthi kube uwothathayo qhubeke nge-inquiry.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's what he said.
And for how long did he mention?
For isikhathi esingakanani?
Uthe maye nginikeza ukuthi ngizoba investigating officer ngamtshela ukuthi angeke ngikwazi ukuba investigating officer. Isizathu salokho ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi nganginama high profile cases engangiwaphenya.
Yes, when he informed me that I was going to be an investigating officer, I told him that I could not resume those duties because I had
high profile cases.
Other high profile cases to handle.
Agwa SVC.
SVC.
Yeah, serious violent crime.
Oh, a serious violence crime.
And the futhi lawo ma cases kwawa ma cases ayehamba inkantolo.
And those cases were already in court.
So he was untruthful, therefore, in his evidence before us, that when he left Isipingo police station to go back on leave, remember he was off duty, when he left Isipingo police station to go back on his leave, he appointed you and you remained the investigating officer until he came back from leave. That evidence, from what you're saying, that evidence is untruthful.
Uyena ngokwakhe uJacob uyasho ukuthi ngempela kwabanjalo. Wathi nasehamba elifini wanikeza kuwe intambo ndoda thatha qhubeka. Wena ke kwase ngokuya kwakhe waqhubeka ngempela waze wayobuya sebuya impinda sebuyele ebuye elifini.
Nganqaba ukuba investigating officer.
No, I refused to be an investigating officer.
Into eyenzeka.
What happened?
Wangicela ukuthi ngiyovula i-inquiry, ngayivula i-inquiry, ngase ngiyayigcina yaba ngakumina.
What happened was per his request, opened the inquiry, and I kept that inquiry with me.
Ngayigcina ukuthi azabuye ayithathe yena.
I retained it so that he would, until he came back
from leave.
from his leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if I may, so your version is that he would be, his version that you are an investigating officer is untrue.
I,
Ngokuya kwakho ke ukuthi lento ayishoyo ukuthi wena waqhubeka waba investigating umphenyi akusiliqiniso.
Accident.
It's untrue.
I think one of his, on both the 3rd of June and the 4th, that's what he confirmed about you. And then just to be fair to you also, Colonel's warrant officer is at Sbia, also said you were appointed as the investigating officer.
Kwazange kube kanye kwaze kwaba kabili ekusho lokho uJacob kanti futhi no warrant Sbia usho ngempela kwaba njalo wena waba umphenyi.
Yena wang-appoint ukuthi ngibe i-investigating officer, but nganqaba ngenxa yalezizathu esengiyishilo.
Yes, he did appoint me to be an investigating officer, but I did not accept it because of the already mentioned reasons.
Waze wathi angigcine i-inquiry aze abuye, and that is what I did.
Then he said I should keep that inquiry until he returns, and that is exactly what I did.
If I may, you may just clarify, and I take your version. In terms of the entries in the diary, just pardon, maybe it's my ignorance, it would be fine that you make the entries even if you are not the investigator.
Usho ukuthi vele la kubhaliswa khona ukubhaka khona ama-entry noma ungasa-investigate kufanele uyibhale leyo into lapho imininingwane.
Isizathu sokwenza ama-entries ingoba i-inquiry ayikumina ngaleso sikhathi.
Yes, the reason that the entries be done is because the inquiry had come to a standstill at that stage.
I'm not sure, I think it's that you were the one dealing with the inquiry, who had opened the inquiry. That's the reason you were making the entries in the investigation diary.
Ukuthi mhlawumbe isizathu sokuthi ubhalise lapha ku-inquiry leyo show kungoba vele wena uwo uqhubeka ngophenyo.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, it's like that.
Just while we're on the diary, if you go to file 3 of the exhibit bundle,
File 3 ku-exhibit bundle.
5-3. CJC 268
Yizwa leyo nombolo.
and page 803.
803.
Yeah,
Yes.
page 803.
Maybe let's start at 802.
802.
Yes. So when you make those entries in the diary, was there an inspecting officer or someone who checked your entries?
Ma ubhala leyo kufaka lokho ukubhalisa lapho ngabe kukhona omunye wayekhona yini na ukwenza lokho?
No, akekho.
No one.
Then at 803, then that's where there's a handwriting. I'm not sure whose handwriting is that. At this point, this is 2306-2021. There's a an entry about a 24-hour inspection.
Uthi noma ngasazi kubonakala kahle ukuthi ubani wayebhala lapha kodwa kukhona umbhalo lo wange-23 ngoJuni ngo-2021.
Who made this entry, do you know?
Ngabe wena uyazi?
Mangibheka la isandla sika nesignishe ka Lieutenant Colonel Jacob.
If I look at this, I would say the handwriting or the signature is that of Jacobs.
Then at the top there, the date is 2021-06-23.
Uyabona idate there? Ayibiza 23 ngoJune 2021.
Yebo ngiyabona.
Yes.
Does that reflect or does that relate to the date when this entry was made?
Ingabe yona idate esho usuku okwabhaliswa ngayo le nto bhalwe la entry?
Hey, angengazi.
I would not know. Ingabe uwabhala la entry?
Hayi.
No.
You say the signature at the bottom is whose signature? Are you able to tell? You're saying that's Lieutenant Colonel Jacob.
Kodwa uthi lo osayinile lapho uJacobs.
Yebo, asikhuluma ngento eyodwa la.
We're talking about one entry here.
Eku C04.
C04.
Yes, on the 23rd of June.
Yebo, ngomhla ka-23.
Yeah, Colonel Jacob.
Yes, it is Colonel Jacobs.
So does it mean he was back at work on the 23rd?
Usho ukuthi wayesebuyile emsebenzini ngalelo langa ka-23.
This is the day after the operation, right?
Emva kusho isuku elilandela ilanga le-operation.
Wayengakabuyi.
No, he had not come back then.
So how is that entry in your investigation diary?
Ingena kanjani ke i-signature yakhe lapho kulo diary?
Hayi, angazi.
I don't have a clue.
Thank you, Mr. Skaka.
Diary not with you the whole time.
Kanti diary engagcinwanga nguwena sonke isikhathi le?
Yeah, it mean.
So how did Colonel Jacobs manage to put an entry in your diary on the day that he's not with you and he's on leave?
Manje mnewethu tshela thini kuza kanjani wangena kanjani ngomkhonyovu njani angene lapha esayinda engekho?
Hey, angikhumbula ngazi.
I don't remember, I do not know.
Does it mean you allowed Colonel Jacobs to insert a false entry into your diary?
Ngamanye amagama kusho ukuthi uvuma ukuthi uKenneth Jacob afake lo diary yakho into ongayazi ungabonile.
Lutho angimvumelanga.
I did not give him that permission.
But where else would he have got your diary? If it's your diary, how else and where else would he have got it?
Kanjani umlingo ukhona kanjani ukuthi bese ayitholakala le diary kanti kuwena seyisayindile?
Mina mangibuka i-diary ngicina ukuyibhala okumhla 2306.
Wena.
Yeah.
Well, and I look at this. The last time I had some entry in the diary, it was on the 23rd, 06.
Yes, that we can see.
Siyakubona lo.
So how is he able to put another entry on the same date when he's on leave and he's not with you?
Umbuzo omkhulu akekho. Ukhona la. Ngomoya thizeni ungene kanjani azosayinda la engekho kuzakala kanjani?
Anginaso isiqiniseko kodwa into engiyicabangayo ukuthi i-entry ayenze le esekuye emsebenzini wayeseyayi-backdate. Into engicabanga.
Nasebuye emsebenzini.
Yeah.
Well, without any certainty, but I'll presume that he entered this way on his arrival coming back from leave and he backdated this.
Yes, that's the only logical answer.
Cishe ushayile ke leyo. Cishe zwakala ke leyo mpendulo.
Yeah.
The other possibility is he did come into the office, you gave him your diary, and he made that entry. That's the other possibility.
Uyazi okunye
Now,
kukhona
on the
kungenzeka.
23rd itself.
Nase sibuka kabanzi kungenzeka wafika. Umne wenu lo wathi ndoda wamnika wasayina.
ngabe ngiyayikhumbula.
I would remember if that was the case.
You would remember it, but you wouldn't say it because on your construction and his construction, the story is he came in on the 22nd to run this operation, and he left from Esipingo police station, went back on leave. You tell us you took over from that point, which is what he tells us too. You took over from that point until he came back. You say you took over just to hold the inquiry file for him. He tells us you were the investigating officer and then he came back later when he finished his vacation leave and came back later. So this 23rd entry, it's your diary. You would, if he made the entry and backdated it, you would know, it's your diary. You would know.
Lalela-ke mina ngizoyiqala la emuva leyo emaphethelweni. Idayari yakho. Nguwena oyiphethe. Kufanele wazi okwenzakalayo ngayo. Njengoba sechazile uCommissioner ukuthi uhambile lo muntu ngomhla ka-22 wabuya la efika kwenzeka yonke le ikuyidayari. Manje kusho ukuthi cishe lokho okubhalile siyakuzwa. Ubhalile lokho okusho ukuthi kwenzekile kodwa akusiyinto eyenzakele lapha ngendlela oyisho ngakhona.
Kungale ndlela engisho ngayo. Idayari ngenze ukuthi mina ngagcina ngale dayari ukubhala. Yena wayesefaka la amanye amadayari.
Amanye ama-date or ama-diary?
Yeah.
Khuluma ngama-diary or ngama-date?
Ama-diaries.
Yes, well, according to me, the witness is showing Commissioner that as far as he's concerned, he's showing a page where he last entered this thing in a diary. I presume when he came back, he then entered other entries.
We know that you went back to Port Shepstone, DPCI, well, Port Shepstone Police Station and DPCI offices on the 23rd and the 24th. Am I correct with that?
Ngabe kunjalo ukuthi wena ngalelanga lela show ke-23 wena wase-DPCI office.
Yebo,
Usofile nakhona kunjalo.
Yebo,
Yes.
Why is the 24th not in your diary? You have the 23rd.
Nasibheka i-diary yakho. Kubhaliwe lapha ngomhla ka-23. Kodwa ngomhla ka-24 lutho. Kanjani?
Okungenzeka ukuthi i-inquiry engasekho kumina.
The possibility is that at that stage, the inquiry was no longer with me.
No, it would still have been with you because you are holding for Colonel Jacobs and he's on leave on the 24th. What do you mean that it's no longer with you?
Belisasenawe ngoba phela uphathele uwophethe intambo. Usaselivini. Uwophethe izinto zikuwena.
Ya ngithi ngiyacabanga ukuthi ngaphandle kokuthi ingenzeka ukuthi inquiry engasekho kumina asikho esinye isizathu.
Well, the only reason I can think of, nothing else, is that the inquiry was no longer in my possession.
Okay. So who did you give the inquiry file to? Remember at this point, we're talking the 23rd, the 24th. I think Colonel Jacobs, we see him signing on the 29th. And I think he said he came back from leave around that time. So you have the inquiry file. He told you open the inquiry file. You opened it. When you say maybe the file was no longer with you, you must have given it to somebody by the 24th. That you must be able to tell us.
Yabona ke ndoda nasibheka njengoba sizwile 23 24 unondoda uzowahamba wazowayenza ikhabutrekhe sebuya ngayi-20.9 la icishe ke lapho wena lokhu iphethe ifile nokuvula ushaya ukuthi ukuvula wayecelile ukuthi uvule i-inquiry manje ucela ukuthi beyingasekho kuwe chaza kanjani usho ukuthini
Okungenzeka ukuthi ifile kanye nama samples ngayinikeza warrant officer Sibia.
There's a possibility that I handed these files over to Sibia.
Warrant officer Sibia.
Warrant officer Sibia.
On the 24th, you would have already given it to Warrant Officer Sibiya.
Ngomhla ka 24 kusho ukuthi bosomnikile uSibiya.
Ngicabanga kanjalo.
I think so.
Why would you give it to Warrant Officer Sibiya and then still go to Port Shepstone, DPCI and police station and take samples? On the day that you're doing that, why would your diary be, or the file, be with Sibiya if you are doing that job?
Not uSibiya unikwa kanjani lento kanti wena usaphethe naku phela uthi ntinini uyale ePotchefstroom DPCI phela lapho usalokhu khona nawe kule ndaba umnika kanjani ke uSibiya?
uSibiya ngimnika ngoba ngase ngikhulumile noJacob ukuthi ngeke ngiqhubeke nokuthi ngibe investigating officer.
I gave it to Sibiya because I had already spoken to Jacobs that I was no longer going to carry on being an investigating officer.
Ngase ngimtshelile.
I had already told him.
Yeah, well, you told him on the scene that you won't be an investigating officer, and then he, at Port Shepstone, according to you, Isipingo police station, and he said go open an inquiry file and hold it for him. So I'm discussing with you on the basis, at least for our discussion, I accept that's what happened, that at Isipingo, you said to him, I will not be an investigating officer, and he says to you, okay, open an inquiry file and hold it for me. Right? I accept that for our purposes. You say to us, and then on the 23rd, you went back and did something about these exhibits. On the 24th, you went back and did something about these exhibits. Why would you give the inquiry file that you are holding for Lieutenant Colonel Jacob? Why would you give it to Sibiya when you are holding it for Jacob on the 24th?
Ndoda, uyabona kuzwakale kahle ngawakho amagama ukuthi yebo le ngxoxo yakhulunywa uJacob nawe ukuthi thatha uinvestigate kwakusesiphingo lapha washo wena uthi ngeke nje ngokuya kwakho wanqaba kodwa wasethi hamba uyovula open ama inquiry manje umbuzo omkhulu ukuthi ke nge23 lokho ikuwe na nge24 manje sekuza kanjani ngoba ikuwe lento so idlulisa kanjani uyinika omunye?
Isizathu salokho ingenxa ukuthi one ngangayisebenzi
Uzaso
ngangayisebenzi
awungayisebenzi okay
yes esokuqala isizathu leso esesibili ukuthi ngathi mangibuya mangikhumbula kahle ngathi mangibuya nama samples ePotchefstroom ethe uJacob angwanikeze warrant officer Sibiya ngasale sengimnikeza ne-inquiry yonke into.
Yes, I would give a reason like, firstly, I was no longer working on this case. And secondly, I went to fetch the samples and with the instruction of Jacobs was that I must hand the sample over to Sibiya. Then I took it upon me to give this thing as well to him, Sibiya.
So when you returned from Port Shepstone, you still had the file with you?
Asiyesibe sizwe kahle. Na ubuye ePotchefstroom. Bosaphethe kuwena
Mangikhumbula kahle.
if I remember correctly.
So why did you not make the entry in the diary before you gave to Sibiya? You gave this file to Sibiya.
Manje uyabuya lapho. Khumbula unenotebook, unepenseli. Kodwa ukubhala no24. Ukuthi kwenzakalani manje? Awubhalanga ndawo.
Yeah. Anginaso isizathu.
I don't have any reason.
Thank you, Mrs. Kakan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just on this, before we get off, something that may clarify matters, but maybe raise another question. Colonel Jacobs, on the 3rd of June, in his testimony, conceded to the fact that he made this entry and that he may have, well, on his own, and he may have made it when he came back. If I may just read what he
uthi
said.
ke ngathi cishe kube kanjalo uJacob lona naye ngathi thena inibufakazi wavuma ukuthi ya ngenzeka ukuthi wabhala lapha nasebuya bona ubufakazi bonakala ngomhla ka3 kaJune.
Does what you are about to read from explain the fact that the date of the entry is the 23rd of June 2021 as opposed to the 29th of June when Colonel Jacob came back?
Just get some clarity, Chair.
Yes.
So you're saying,
You are saying he conceded, that's Colonel Jacob, that it is he who wrote this. And you say that he explained in testimony that he must have made the entry when he came back.
correct.
Do I understand
As in
that to mean
backdating.
coming back from leave?
Yes, on the 29th.
On the now I say, now my point is, but this entry is dated 23
Yes.
June 2021. So my question is, does what you are about to read from explain why the date is the 23rd of June 2021? If he says he may have made the entry when he came back, and we know that he came back on the 29th of June 2021. This is not about you.
No.
It's
Sure, I'm
about
trying
what
to understand.
it's about what he said in
Yes.
his testimony,
Perhaps-
which is in the transcript in front of you. So I just wanted to have an idea if it does explain that, or perhaps let's just let you read what
Yeah,
he
I think,
says.
Chair, maybe let
And
me read
yes,
it out. It's quite short.
yes,
Iyakhona
yes.
kuphambana khona ngamadate ukuthi wabuya nini wabhalisa nini kodwa sizoqhubeka sizwe ukuthi kwahamba kanjani.
When he was questioned, and it was by Commissioner Baloyi, and perhaps he should clarify about. So, no. Apologies. Colonel Jacob said when he was pressed around the 23rd, he says, yes, but okay, it is not made on the 23rd. Because on the 23rd, I resumed my leave, meaning I was on leave. So if I look at this, and I will be honest, I either made it on the 22nd, just to, as a formality to warrant Officer Mpangase, or I may have done it on my return to work because I see nobody did the inspection, the inspectorate.
He could not have made it on the 22nd. You say he says he could have made the entry on the 22nd.
He says either or, 22nd or the 29th.
The 22nd would not make sense because we have Warrant Officer Mpangase's entries,
Yes,
which run all the way to the 23rd of June.
correct.
So if he made it on the 22nd, it would have had to come before
After.
Warrant Officer Mpangase's entries of the 23rd.
Yes.
So that's just out of the question.
So,
And I'm saying what he says there about the 22nd
Yes.
is simply out of the question.
correct.
And
correct.
yes,
Correct.
and then the question about the 29th stands because the entry is dated the 23rd.
So-
Anyway.
So he may have falsified that.
Ngathi abantu benhle lapha ma-date ndoda uya ngayi-22 lo muntu kanjani ngoba wona ngayi-23 bosayiphethe nangayi-29 lama-date ukuthi uyenze nini le nto ayibhale lapho so asiqhubeke mhlawumbe kuzawucala.
So what is curious, obviously, is that there's a gap at the top of the page for which he found space to make an entry. But that's obviously not something that you can answer.
Akekho kodwa ukuthi ayiphendulele siyabona lapha bekunegap mhlawumbe uyowafaka lapho wahlokoloza wafaka lokhu kodwa akekho kuyiphendulela kuleyo yinto.
Ngezwa.
I hear that.
Then let's go back just to one question on this Isipingo, and then we move off it to Potchefstroom. And it's around the entry in the sub-13. And it was,
Before you do that, Mr. Skakan, the Isipingo SAP 13, you say you made those entries, you entered the exhibits in the SAP 13.
Isiphingo SAP 13 uwe Mqobo owafaka lapho
Yebo
wabhalisa.
kunjalo.
Yes, it is so.
And you also signed them out. So you signed them in and you signed them out.
Wasayinela mazingena, wasayinela masiphuma.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
The reason that you gave for signing them out is that, and I think if we can just pull that SAP 13 if we have it, is you said they are going for analysis. Why did you say that when that was not true?
Manje uthezizathu sokuthi usayinele out ngomhla nasesiphuma. Wathi zazihamba ziyocwanulungile kulento ekuthiwa analysis. Kodwa bekungenjalo, uyingani washo lokho?
Warrant officer, go to page 2 of that paper that they've just given you. So they've just handed you a piece of paper.
Wabheka upage 2 kule phepha basanda ukukunika lona.
On page 2,
Page 2.
to your right, it will say A16 on top of that, page 2.
Uyabona?
Page 2.
Then at the bottom of that page, you will see an entry that says 4.1.
Egcineni lapho ezansi kulelo qeshana lelo.
And it says Warrant Officer MF Mpangase. And then to your right, that's the entry Commissioner Balo is referring to.
Yiyo ke lapho ngako right wakho esandleni sakho sokudla yiyo le ekukhulunywa ngayo.
Okay. Into engenzeka la
What could have happened here
ngathi sengiwafakile ama-exhibit.
after I have inserted them?
uJacob wangitshela ukuthi sizowakhipha
Jacob told me that we are going to take them out
siwahambise e-lab
and transport them to the lab
ngoba bathi sorry ngoba bathi uPerimel
because
Wathi-
they said Perumal
yena uPerimel wathi ngeke akwazi ukuthi ayigcine la.
himself, Perumal said he could not keep them.
So i-decision ke eyaqhamuka noJacob ukuthi fanele siwayise e-forensic.
Then the decision came from Jacobs that we need to take them to forensics
For analysis
for
and
analysis
storage.
and storage.
So izathu ke senza ukuthi ngibhalele entry angisibone esinye isizathu.
That would be the reason for me to enter this entry, no other reason.
But then, when it became clear that the exhibits were not going to FSL, they were going to Potchefstroom. And even on the following day, you put an entry in the Potchefstroom SAP 13. Why did you not correct the entry at Ispingo? Why did you not correct that? Because that's clearly misleading. The exhibits did not go to FSL for analysis. They went to Potchefstroom from Ispingo. So why did you not correct the SAP register in Ispingo?
Kuyabonakala ke ukuthi ngempela zange ziye lapha kuyocwaningwa nje bakwenziwa ama-analysis. Kodwa zaya lesiphingo. Manje ingani zange ngoba wabona kunephutha la. Ingani ungathi ukuthi hey ngiyenza right ngiyayilungisa lento. Why ungazange uyilungise?
Angizange ngicabange ukuyilungisa.
I never thought of fixing it.
Kodwa uma ubhala statement se-chain ngangizokumenshina lokho.
But when you write a statement, it's a chain process. I was going to mention that.
Because you see, Warrant Officer, when all the officers who were transporting the exhibits from Ispingo, when you were leaving that police station, by then the discussion with Brigadier Nyuswa had taken place. As everybody was leaving Ispingo police station, you all knew that these exhibits were going to Potchefstroom at the DPCI office. You had an opportunity then to correct this clearly incorrect entry in the SAP 13 at Isipingo, and you did not correct it.
Kodwa uyabonakala nje nanisuka lapha esiphingo nangu nonyusa ukhona lapha kuyaxoxa kuyakhulunywa. Kwakucace ngokusobala ukuthi hayi khona lezi zinto ziya lesiphingo. Aziyi kule ndawo yokuyocwaninga. Kungani kungazange uwenze uyithathe uyibeke kuwena lento ukuthi uyibhale ngendlela ehambisana nalokho.
Engqondweni yami ngangitshela ukuthi ngizofaka istatement kwi-chain ya exhibit ukuthi ihambe kanjani usuke
In my mind, I had thought I'll put a statement and put the chain of events
ukuya Potchefstroom.
indicating how it happened from Potchefstroom.
So the situation we have now is that for more than 24 hours, there is no SAPS record of where these exhibits are, because in Potchefstroom, you only do the entry on the 23rd of July. Is it June? Of June.
June, yes.
So from the period these exhibits are booked in and out of Ispingo police station to the time when you do the entry in the Potchefstroom SAP 13, SAPS has no record of where these drugs are or where these exhibits are.
Uyayibona ke lento ishoyo ndoda. Ubeka kusukela umhla ka 23 kufika ku24 kukhona isikhathi phakathi nendawo lapho okungaziwa ukuthi lezi zinto zikuphi lama drugs. Ngoba kubhalwanga ndawo ukuthi kwenzakalani kuleso sikhathi esiphakathi lezo.
Ngiyakuzwa
I understand that, yes.
Iphuzo lela.
It is a point, yes.
Kodwa sasingakulungisa ngestatement ngoba ngangingengedwe sihambisa ama drugs Potchefstroom.
But we had a chance to rectify that on our statements. Because I was not the only one who's transporting these.
Nababekhona futhi ePotchefstroom bawabona siwafaka kwi-storage.
Because the people who were also present at Potchefstroom
So
did see that we were putting them into the storage.
So kwakuzokhava i-statement zethu.
Kwakuzo
Cover i-statement zethu ukuthi ama exhibit asukile eSphingo aya ePotchefstroom.
So that was going to make up for in our statements. He's using a word cover. It was going to cover what is in our statements, that these things did indeed move from that area to the other.
Warrant Officer, I want to move from this point very quickly. Are you prepared to accept that it was a serious error on your part not to correct that entry in the SAP 13? Because statements are not a place where you record the movement of exhibits. The place to record what happens to exhibits when they are booked in and out, and for what purpose, is the SAP 13. So should I leave it on the basis that it was poor judgment on your part and leave it there?
Wethu uzovumelana nathi yini nasingacha udoyile. Lokho wakwenza kwangasindlela. Ukuthi ngabe wenze ngakhona ngempela ukuthi uyazi into efanele ukubhalwa lapha ku SAP 13. Ngokulenziwe nini kanjani?
Ngiyavuma.
Uyavuma ukuthi ngempela wenza iphutha.
Ngiyavuma.
I accept it.
No, Warrant Officer, I don't accept that it was an error of judgment. And the reason I don't accept that was an error of judgment is because firstly, these exhibits are not, even if you say that Jacob said we are taking them to the lab for analysis, they are not in storage bags, they're not in exhibit bags. So there's no way you would have, if you knew anything about this, there's no way you would have thought that these exhibits are going to the lab. That's one reason. The second reason is there and then you say in your statement, and everybody else says that in their statements, that calls were made and you knew as you were standing there that they are not going to the lab. They are not staying at Isipingo. They are not going to the lab. Other stations, according to Jacobs, other stations were called. They didn't have storage. You all knew they were going to Potchefstroom. When you signed them out, When you signed them out, you knew that they are not going to the lab. In fact, your entry says analysis. It doesn't say storage. It says analysis. So I do not accept that you're being truthful about this.
Oh, Commissioner Obalo, uthi hayi cha ndoda. Lento ukuthi siyakwamukela lokho kushaya cha. Yize leze. Kuyazeka ukuthi ngamukelwa inkulumo njengale. Ngoba bowazi kahle ngempela ukuthi no. Lama okokuqala awekho kumabheka. Kuyaqhubeka futhi la lento awayi le. Bowazi kahle futhi awayi ku analysis. Nase siphingo. Lezi zinto ziya Potchefstroom. Wena ukuthi bowungaze uthi ngeke kwamukele lokho uyakubona ukuthi kuyinkinga ukuthi kwamukele nje ngale ndlela oyibeka ngakhona.
Ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner Baloyi. Into eyenzeka ukuthi uLieutenant Colonel Jacob wangitshela ukuthi njoba benqaba laba ukwathatha ama-exhibits sizowathatha siwayise elab.
Yes, I hear Commissioner Baloyi, but Jacob said since those people couldn't accept or agree to take them these items, he said we would take them to the lab.
Yep.
Yes.
Into engenzeka ukuthi kwathi mayesengitshelile lokho.
After he told me that,
ngase ngiyabhala ukuthi siyawathatha ama-exhibit sizowayisa elab for analysis.
then I entered that into the book, that we're taking them to the lab.
I-decision yokuthi sizowayisa ePotchefstroom iphume after sengibhalile.
The decision that we were going to take them to Potchefstroom, that was the decision which came only after I had made my entries.
Iyona nto engayicabanga le yenza ukuthi
That's the
ngibhale
only
le.
thing I could think of.
Well, I guess that's your best answer on this, but you've heard what my issue is. And then on the second part where you say we would have fixed this with the statements, you say, well, everyone was there, we were going to write statements and it would all be corrected. I want to make this observation to you that in fact your statements, as we have shown this morning and with Colonel Jacob as well, is they're contradictory. You don't speak the same thing. Even you, as you were sitting there this morning, you're saying, well, he's wrong when he says this. When Govender says this, he's wrong. Your diary entries, you can't explain why there's no entry on the 24th. You can't explain why Jacob, who's supposedly on leave on the 23rd, has an entry in your investigation diary in a file that you are holding. So the documents that you say would have fixed it are completely unreliable, and it's a point that was made to Jacob, as Colonel Jacob as well, that your documents are unreliable because they don't reflect accurately what happened in that period of the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th. Even you, as you sit there, you say, well, I don't remember, maybe. So it's not a satisfactory answer to say, well, we were all there, we were all going to do statements, to write statements, and we would have fixed this in the statements. Your statements contain falsehoods or misrepresentations, in fact. And that's an observation. You can comment if you want to.
Now, Tano, waphendula bathi ngokufinqiwe ke ndoda ukuthi hayi cha ndoda hayi nasibuka lento hayi ayishoni khona. Ngathi nayo izolunga ihambi ngalendlela. Ngendlela okungakhona ikhona uthe wena benethuba lokuthi sizolungiswa lezi zinto nasenenza istatement phezulu lokho kodwa nakubhekwa le statement naleso sishilo lana akusinto ongathenjela kuyi asithembisi ngathi siyabhayisana naso nje uqobo le statement manje kodwa ayi ngocabanga ungaphendula na ufuna ndoda haya
No engakusho ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner Baloyi kodwa engakusho into engayibhala lapha into ebengiyikhumbula.
I hear you, Commissioner, but what I can say, what I put there was what I could recall.
Uma kukhona okusalile wasala ngephutha ngoba ngingasakukhumbuli.
If I had omitted anything that could have been mistake, which I could not remember.
Akukho okwamanga noma
There's nothing which is untrue.
engakubhalayo kwi-statement.
From what I've written there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs.
Commissioners, I see I'm left with 2 minutes.
Isikhathi sidliwe yinja ke ndoda. Kusela ama-minute amabili.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try, and I think as we opened in the beginning, I won't go through some of the things we've heard from other witnesses, and I do not think it would be a fair use of time to go about what happened in the Potchefstroom offices.
Kuthiwa singaqhubeka kodwa uthi uzozama ke nafinqe ashayele eduze ukuthi sibone ukuthi singaqhubeka sigcine.
Now, you then took these exhibits to Potchefstroom, and then obviously you are in charge at this point, and you placed the exhibits in the safe. Colonel Prinsloo testified that there was no sub-transfer register completed or any form of documentation, either in recording the receipt of the exhibits and then to the other part of the safe key. There was no formality or any documentation.
Uyabona ke asesilapha ke manje Potchefstroom. Lezi zinto zilokhu sisase ngaphansi kwakho wena ufuneka ukuthi uwazi kwenzakalani. Kodwa ke siyezwa ukuthi lapho uPrinsloo obelapha uthi hayi khona akukho la kubhalwe khona ukuthi seziya transfer zisuka ngalezi izangala akukho into ebhaliwe ekhombisa ukuthi hayi kukhona okwenzakalayo la mayelana nalezi zinto.
Yebo kunjalo.
That is correct.
And the same with the key, there is no transfer, and we know that according to the prescript, there needs to be entries about who takes the key.
Nangesikhiye lokho akukho la kusho khona ukuthi ngoba phela nasi isikhiye na usinikeza umuntu kufanele kubhalwe la ukuthi ngisinike bani nini kanjani akunalutho.
Yebo kunjalo.
That is correct.
Now, to the point of Commissioner Baloyi, which is about the integrity of the exhibits, what we see then is that what gets into at Potchefstroom, there is nothing formally recorded as to the quantity. In fact, you can't, you start sealing it the following day. So in essence, on the whole of the 22nd, there is no formal accounting of the exhibits.
Okunye kubonakalayo ukuthi indoda lewona lama exhibit kubonakala ayikho akukho la kusukela ngomhla ka22 ukuthi inamba la isaphelele noma kanjani akwaziwa ngoba akukho lokuchaza ukuthi mangaki.
Ngisakhumbula kahle.
I no longer remember where. So.
Uchaza ukuthi u-advocate azange swafake kwi-13 register on the 22nd.
You sort of suggest that we did not enter them into SAPS 13 register?
Well, in essence, when you get to Potchefstroom, there is no recorder of what goes on to the storage.
Yebo, ngokuya ngalendlela esizwa nasekufike ePotchefstroom akukho la kukhona kubhalwe khona.
Ngiyakhumbula ku-arrangewa indaba SAP 13 register.
I remember there was arrangement concerning SAPS registrar.
Kwafika khona i-exhibit clerk yase-Potchefstroom.
Kwafika exhibit?
Exhibit clerk.
Where the exhibit clerk from Potchefstroom arrived.
Sorry, we're still on the 22nd.
Sakhuluma ngomhla ka22.
Yebo.
Yes.
22. eyafika iphethe register.
Umuntu wesilisa or wesifazane.
Umuntu wesilisa
On his arrival, he had this register in his possession.
kwakuwumlungu futhi.
He was a white person.
Sayi
This is only on the following day, even on your statement and according to Lieutenant Colonel Jacob and everybody else from Port Shepstone who has testified, that happened on the 23rd. You are being asked about the 22nd.
Uyabona lokho kukhuluma into eyenzakala ngomlanga elilandelayo ngomhla ka-23. Bayasho bonke nalabanye bafakile ubufakazi noJacobs nalaba abanye. 23 lo. La kukhulunywa ngelanga eliphambi kwalelo mhla ka-22.
angivumi.
Awuvumi?
Ngiyavuma.
Oh, I concede. Yes, I agree.
So when the exhibits were stored at the Port Shepstone offices of DPCI on the 22nd, there was no SAP 13 register entry on that day.
Ngomhla ka-22 ePotchefstroom nawe ikubeka kwalezi zinto sifakwa lapha geqe phakathi akukho la kwabhalwa khona.
Ngizosho njalo ya.
I would say so.
That's why you needed to go back to Port Shepstone the following day to deal with the SAP 13 issue.
Ingakho wabona ukuthi ubuyele ngakusasa mhla ka-23 uyozama ukuthi uzame ukuthola izinto zisetheke right ulungise.
Ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner Khumalo kodwa ngicela ukubeka ngokukhulu ukuhlonipha ukuthi
I hear Commissioner Kumar, but may I, with due respect, state this.
angikhumbuli kahle noma kodwa mawukuthi into ebhalwe phansi ushuthi yona.
I don't recall exactly, but if that is what is written, then it should be.
Engqondweni yami ngiyitshela ukuthi ngomhla 23 ngacelwa uColonel Jacob ukuthi ngibuyele siyo unpacka ama exhibit ekhwameni siwafake kuma forensic exhibit.
To my mind, oh sorry,
Kuma forensic exhibit bags.
what
Siwafake kuma forensic exhibit bags.
if I recall that Jacob said we need to go back there to take the exhibit and put them into the bags. Which bags?
Forensic
Bags. That is the reason why we went back on the 23rd.
Kodwa mase ngibhekisisa kahle manje ngazi ukuthi uqinisile
Ubani uqinisile?
uCommissioner Khumalo.
Yeah, but when I really look deep into this, I think, Commissioner, you are correct.
Because if you had put anything in the SAP 13 on the 22nd, your diary would have said so. You would have recorded it in your diary.
Kuyiqiniso futhi ukuthi uma kube ngempela wawubhala lapha ngomhla ka-22 ngabe idayari yakho uthi nayi bonani siyibone le nto kunjalo.
Iqiniso.
That is correct.
You were responsible for the inquiry file at that point when you moved from Isipingo police station to Port Shepstone. Why did you not arrange for an SAP 13 clerk from Port Shepstone on the 22nd itself to come and enter these exhibits or record the movement of these exhibits? Because after you remove them on the 22nd from Isipingo, as Commissioner Khumalo says, we have no record of where are they after they've been removed. Nothing is recorded. Where do they sleep that night? You are the in charge because Colonel Jacob has left you in charge. So you have the responsibility to arrange that there should be an SAP 13 clerk who comes and you do these entries. Why did you not do that?
Uyabona ndoda amafile ngo-23 yonke lento imiphezu kwamahlombe akho wazi kahle ukuthi kuzowenzakalani. Umbuzo okhona omunye ukuthi kungani ungazange wenza amalungiselelo u-arrange no-clerk lapha phambilini ukuthi hey kuzodingeka lokhu siwazi ukubhala wonke amalungiselelo ukuthi kuze kufike lapha. Kumbuzo lokuthi ngempela kuze kanjani ungakulungisi lokho.
Ngathatha ngokuthi since siwafakile kwi-Espingo i-SAP 13 yase-Espingo asisekho isidingo sokuthi siwafake kwi-SAP 13 yase-Potchefstroom?
Well, I presume that because of the fact that we have already stored them in Potchefstroom, there was no necessity that we register them on SAPS 13 in Sipingo. Potchefstroom, by the way.
I mean, at that time, you didn't know that the protocol or the national instruction requires that exhibits must be recorded in an SAP 13. They must always be accounted for. Is that what you're telling us, that you didn't know that there was such a requirement at that point?
Ufuna ukusitshela ukuthi wena ukwazi kwakho ulokhu khona lapha kuvumelekile ukhohliwe bongazi ukuthi into enjengalezi ukuthi zihambe indinde nje kungazwakali kahle funeke kwazi kahle ukuthi kwenzakalani kubhali ngokomthetho ngohlo lomthetho elibhaliwe ukuthi funeke kulandelwe lo mugomo ufuna ukuthi wakhohlwa noma bongazi
Angikhohlwanga ngathatha ngokuthi ama-exhibits siwafakile kwisiphingo SAP 13 register aseyahamba ayogcinwa ePotchefstroom.
No, I did not forget. The reason is just that we had already recorded them in SAP as the 13 in Sipingo.
Yes.
And then at that time, they were being transported to Potchefstroom.
That can be your answer. They are not in an SAP 13 once you book them out and you drive out of Isipingo police station. And you do understand what the problem is that I'm raising with you. You took them out. You signed them out. You said they are going for analysis. You don't even say where for analysis. We know that was not true. They were going somewhere else for storage. You don't enter them anywhere. There's no record. So you can't refer to Isipingo SAP 13. It's irrelevant. You're done, you finished with it. As soon as you signed them out and you drove out with them. After that, they are not accounted for. And there is a national instruction that says they have to be accounted for. And you either know the national instruction that requires that, or you say to us, I didn't know that I'm required to put them in SAP 13. That's why I thought, because we have now put them in a vault in Potchefstroom DPCI, it's okay. Because I didn't know or understand the national instruction. That's the only answer that would make sense, but it would be problematic, but it would make sense.
Uyabona makube mhlawumbe uzothi hey bengingazi ukuthi funeke kwenziwe njani mhlawumbe cishe ngathi iyamukeleka leyo nto kodwa noma inganangqondo hayi ngathi uyasishaya manje kodwa sicabanga ukuthi la uyibheka lento mfowethu lapha kwe-SAP 13 yazi lesiphingo nase siphuma lezi zinto akusahambelani lepha bezingena SAP 13 yasesiphingo ngokomthetho funeka kube kwazekale ukuthi njengoba seziphuma ziyapi kwenzakalani kanjani akukho ngathi impela ayikhona akusho kahle
Ngiyaphinda ngiyasho futhi ukuthi ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner baloyo ukuthi uqhamuka kuphi nalokho akushoyo, but mina ngiyasho ukuthi ngokwami ngayitshela ukuthi asikho isidingo sokuthi ngiyifake kwi-SAP 13 yase-Potchefstroom ngoba sasesiwafakile lesiphingo kwi-13 yasesiphingo.
I see from which angle, Commissioner, you're coming from, but I thought from my own thinking that there were no longer a need for us to put them again, to register them, because we had already done so in Sipingo, SAPS 13.
Ngokwami futhi cabanga kwami
That was my own perception, thinking.
Ukwenza kwethu ngaleyo ndlela kwakuzokhavwa i-statement esasizoyibhala sichaza ukuthi ama-exhibit asukile esiphingo aya ePotchefstroom.
Well,
Cabanga kwami
on my own, I thought that was going to be fixed on the statements which we are going to make to cover that gap. That's how I thought.
Yeah. No, your answer is not, your explanation of why this happened is completely unsatisfactory. I must say that to you. Either you didn't know what you were doing, as in you are incompetent. You don't know the national instruction required you to record them, and that is, if I'm being kind to you, I'll say you were ignorant. You didn't know what you were doing. And maybe that's why Colonel Jacob brought you into this, because he knew he can leave you with this and you have absolutely no clue what is involved. That's why he gives you instructions as he is on leave. That's a generous explanation for your role in how you handled these things. The alternative is you knew exactly what you were doing, and it was sinister. There was no sound reason. It was deliberate, it was intentional, it was part of a scheme that we are going to do this, we won't account for it, we won't put it in the books. Eventually, when we put it in the books, no one is wiser what happened to the rest of it. Is that all of it? Is it all accounted for? It was part of a scheme. That's on the worst possible explanation for what happened, but there's no innocent explanation for what you did.
Yabona uthi ke lokho okuchazayo ndoda hayi lahlelo lengaphandle ngefastela kuzwakala kwamleke uyabona okokuqala nje ucabanga ukuthi bongazi wenza umsebenzi ongawazi uyibhari nje la kule nto bona wenzalani awazi mhlawumbe iqiniso ukuthi vele ufakwe nje uyimfama ungaboni ungazi lutho ngomsebenzi ngokuthi ufune kwenze kanjani mhlawumbe kungenzeka kodwa akusinto engamuneka leyo ukuthi ungasebenza ungazi kanti okwesibili mhlawumbe hayi uwazi kahle iboshiwe lento ukuthi hayi sizothi senze kanje qhutshwe kanje enye indlela yesibili mhlawumbe ekhombisayo la
ngiyaphikisa le yesibili
I dispute the latter, the second one.
le yokuqala ngiyacishe ngivumelane nayo.
I could concede and accept the first one.
Thank you, Mrs. Kakan.
Warrant Officer, can you explain to me what the notion of booking out exhibits means? When you book them out after there has been an entry in an SAP 13 register. Now, when you talk about booking them out, what does that mean?
Ngabe mnumzane uyazi yini wachaza ukuthi angathi yafakwa lezi yabhaliswa lapha xa seziphuma isidingo sokuthi zibhalwe futhi ngabe uyazi ukuthi siyini sibaluleke kanjani kuthi funeka ukubhala ku entry la kuthi ziphumile ngenile na phumile ngabe uyawazi lo.
Let's use the English words here because you do know English. When you say booking out exhibits, what does that mean? Please use that English expression, Mr. Nkabinde.
Kuthiwa ke mnewethu asishaye ngaso lesaka queen isilungu. Booking out. Uyasazi isingisi ndoda sesikuzwile uyasazi njengoba sitolika kusho ukuthi
ukwakhipha
to take them out.
And am I correct to understand that to mean that you even make an entry in the register itself that you have now taken them out?
Ukuthi futhi hayi ukuthi fambile emoyeni ukuyikhipha la uyabhala ukuthi zikhishiwe. Uyazi ukuthi uyabhala entry.
Yebo kunjalo.
Isizathu salokho uyasazi?
Yebo ngiyasazi.
Yes, I do know.
Now, when you, assuming that you book them out and bring them back, you would have to re-enter them in the register or not?
Okunye futhi uyazi nawe uzikhiphile. Wazibuyisa. Naso uzibuyisa kufanele ukuphinde futhi ubhale ukuthi ziyangena futhi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
Okay, now with that clarity, because you know these things better than I can ever hope to, With that clarity, now I do not understand your response to my colleague, Commissioner Baloyi. Because in responding to Commissioner Baloyi, you say that you did not see a need for the entire period before they were eventually entered in a register in Port Shepstone. You did not see a need to enter them in a register during the intervening period. And the reason you give for that is that that's because they had already been entered in the ISIPing or SAP 13 register.
Yabona ke lento eyindida lesikhuluma ekhulunywe wena kakhulukazi. Uthi wena ubone kungasekho isidingo sokuthi ubuye ubhale ngoba uzazi ibhalisiwe ku SAP S13 yasesiphinga. Kodwa uqeda ukusho ukuthi uyazi ukuthi kufanele kunesidingo yini okubalulekile na ukuthi isibhaliso siyaphuma ziyangena.
Yeah. So what I do not understand is that once you've booked them out, they are as good as never having been entered in the ISIPingo register. It's on that basis that I do not understand your response to my colleague's question.
Uyabona ndoda, na kube lezi ziyangena ziyabhaliswa. Zisaphakathi. Sihambelana nokubhaliswa kwazo ukuphaka kungena. Kodwa mase ziphuma cishe yani lo ngena. Sekusela ukuthi ziphumile. Kodwa kubhalwa ngendawo. Kuyaphela indaba ukuthi zingenile ngoba seziphumile.
Can you please make me understand?
Ukwenza uncede ukuthi kuqondakale kahle.
Or, all right, yeah, let me leave it there. Can you please make me understand?
Cacisa mne wethu.
Bese ngivumile Commissioner ukuthi kwenzeke iphutha.
I have already considered that it was a mistake.
That's something else. That is something else. Yes, it may be related to the questions I'm asking you, but it's something else. I want to understand why, in the face of the concept booking out and its implications or effect, you responded that there was no need. So my question revolves around this concept and why you could ever say that there was no need. So I understand you saying a mistake happened. If you are explaining why you did not enter them, what I want to understand is you said there was no need. That's something that is different from explaining why you did not enter them. Do you see what I mean? And the only explanation you gave for not entering them is that they had already been entered. That is what I want to understand.
Uzwile ke ndoda ukuthi ngempela imbuzo yomkhulu iwona lo. Uyakhumbula uthe wena hayi ngibone ngathi asisekho isidingo sokuthi ngibhalise ngoba sekubhalisiwe. Kodwa umbuzo ulokhu umile. Ufuna ukwazi ukuthi ngabe isizathu kahle yini. Hayi sokuthi nje ubuthi wena wabona singeke isizathu singenzeka ukuthi mhlambe sikhona sokubonisa ukuthi mhlamba awuzange ukwenze lokho ngendlela thizeni. Yokuthi awubonanga isidingo kanti uyazi ukuthi kufanele kwenziwe lokho.
Ngike ngasho ukuthi Commissioner into engangicabanga mina hayi ngoba ukuthi into kwakufanele yenzeke.
Commissioner has already stated this is what I personally thought of, but not necessarily that is what should have happened.
Ngakho ke ngiya withdraw ukusebenzisa ukuthi ngisebenzise leligama la ukuthi angizange ngisibone isidingo.
May I ask to withdraw that part of my version that I thought there was no need.
So it was incorrect.
Bekungenjalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Kakan.
just on, if you, before we move over to the 23rd, in your diary, if I may request that you go to file 3.
Ngaphambi kokuthi siye ku number, okay, carry on. Oh, phambi kokuthi siye kulanga la 23 asibheke la ku diary yakho file number
3.
number 3.
CJC 268, it's the investigation diary,
I diary investigation le kule nombolo ayishoyo,
page 802.
page 802.
It seems to be a continuation of entry number 8. But I'm interested in the last sentence where, or maybe the full,
Sorry. I deliberately avoid, when I engaged you just now, warrant officer, I deliberately avoided referring you to a paragraph in your statement. I just wanted to ask you about the notion or the idea of booking exhibits out. Please.
Yeah, ukuthi bethende ukuthi mhlambe afuna ukwazi ukuthi kahle kahle injongo noma kusho ukuthini ukubhuka izinto out njengoba sikuthe sishaya singisi ubhuka out ngabe kuhambe kubamba kusho ukuthini.
And in asking that question, I deliberately avoided referring you to a paragraph in your statement.
Uthe nje bekubuza kanjalo abengakathandi ukuthi ake aye ku statement esibhalwe nguwena khona iparagraph ethizeni lapha ebhalwe kodwa uye wathi akubambe lokho kancane ngalesikhathi ekubuza ngale yandlela.
For completeness, I ask you this because in paragraph 13 of your statement, you say that Colonel Jacob said that you must book the exhibits out to be taken to the forensic lab. So that's why I focused on the notion of booking out.
Angithi uyabona uyakutshela futhi yena lo ndoda wathi sibhuke out. Huh?
Yes.
I do understand, I hear that.
I think I would accept it better if you said Lobaba than Lendota. Yes, I am in daughter.
Hayi so zamkuyihlonipha le ndoda singathi uJim asingathi lo sithi ubaba umnomzana umnomzana lo umnomzana hayi le ndoda ngathi liyahlaba lokho. As the commissioner, please.
Or did we get a response? What was the response?
Manje konje uphendula.
I was just, in fact, it's just for you to note. I'm just referring you to the paragraph of your statement where I got this notion of booking exhibits out. It's just for you to note.
Noma ungasaphendulanga nje befuna ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi kwakhona okushiwo yemakubuka out.
Ngizweli.
Kufanele kubhale. I understand.
Yes, Mrs. Kakani.
just to complete on that, is there a difference between the booking out and the transfer of exhibits?
Ngabe khona umehluko ngokuya kwakho ukubooka out noma so udlulisela lapha uyitransfera ama exhibit?
Ngazi uthi kumina into efanayo.
I would say that is the same thing.
Okay. No, thanks. Then I was at page 802, just in the interest of time. You say you make an entry there, the last entry, well, not the last entry, at the top. You say the exhibits were transported to Potchefstroom DPCI, where they were they were locked in a vault, and the keys to the vault were taken and kept by me.
Angithi uyabona ke lapho kukhona la uchaza khona ukuthi sizathu zokuthi ziye lapha e-DPCI zathatha zafakwa kwi-Bolt cishe into safe kanje zafike zakhiyelwa khona.
Yebo, ngiyabona.
Yes, I see that.
Would this be accurate? Would you maintain its accuracy? This
Ngabe
entry?
ngempela kuhambisana ngendlela?
No,
No.
anginjalo.
What could explain this?
Say that in your statement, in the entry.
Ubhaliseleni lokho kufake kanjani ku statement sakho?
Hayi, angeke ngichaze ngoba kahle kahle kwakufanele ngisho ukuthi yakhiwe i-vault ngase ngawuthatha ukhiye ngawunikeza uGeneral Sinoni.
I cannot explain that because I was supposed to mention that they were put into the vault and locked in. Was status key,
Basithatha isikhiye.
Ubani?
uGeneral Sinoni.
General?
Sinona.
And General Sinona took the key.
Can we rely on anything that is in this diary at all?
Yabona ndothi ubhalile lapho ku diary yakho. Kodwa kukhona into ozothi hayi le iyabambeka ngithembele ukuthi ngibhalise kanje ngoba khona into ezwakala kahle lapho kulezi zinto ezibhalile.
Ikhona ngaphandle nje kwama mistake amancane, minor mistakes njengale.
Yeah, there are, but except those few little mistakes like this one.
Why would you say this is a minor mistake? It's a storeroom which has drugs in it, which are not recorded anywhere on the subsystem. There's no record of these drugs at this point, where they are, how many they are. There's absolutely nothing. And then you say, I kept the key. How can you say all this is minor? It's not minor.
Mfethu nawuthi ngaphandle izinto ezincane. Hawu, idakamizwa ndoda. Ezinje ungasibhalisi besithatha ngathi ngokuncane nalokho. Ukuthi hayi nesikhiyo wasigcina kumina awufaki konke lokho. Into ezincane lezo kuwena.
Maybe let me add, even before you answer, another thing that points to it's not minor mistakes. We have no entry of what you did on the 24th. We know you went into this vault, you handled these drugs on the 24th. There's no entry of that in this diary. But in addition to that, there's an entry by Colonel Jacob on the 23rd, which you tell us he couldn't have made that entry on the 23rd. So there's another false recordal in this diary. So it's not minor things, it's major things that mislead the reader of the diary.
Uyabona ke ndoda okunye yikho lokho ukuthi ke njoba lezi zinto esikhuluma ngazo esibaleke kangaka noma wena uthi izinto ezincanyana obheke nje nangomhla ka23 uJacob wabhalisa lokho wayebhalisa lapho ngoyi24 kuyabonakala ukuthi ngempela lezi zinto zifakiwe lapha kodwa ungakuthatha nje ukuthi uyayinyatha lezi zinto ukuthi azinamdlandla ndoda.
Angiyithathi kancane lutho.
No, I don't undermine them.
Isizathu sokuthi ngisho ngalendlela ngisho hayi ngoba ngithi imina ngempela.
You are?
Hayi ngoba ngithi imina
Okay,
ngempela. Kodwa ngokwami ukubuka njoba sekutholakala ukuthi ngibhale kanje sengiyakwazi ukuthi ngilungise ngisho ukuthi no mina ngenze iphutha ngokubhala kanje.
No, I don't regard them as that tiny, very small. But from now that we've addressed these issues, I would accept that I've done this mistake from my part.
Sengiyachaza ukuthi no imina ubhalela kodwa kube yiphutha kwakufanele ngibhale kanje.
Yes, as I accept that I'm the one who entered this. And it was a mistake that I omitted that. I was supposed to.
And you accept that the investigation diary is silent about what you did on the 24th? of June 2021.
Uyavuma futhi ukuthi ngomhla ka-24 awakunalutho ukuthi wenzakalani ku-diary yakho awubhalanga lutho kuthe cwaka kuthule tu.
Commissioner Khumalo, ngibhalile la izinto esazenza.
Commissioner Khumalo, I did enter some of the things, what we've done.
Warrant officer, don't confuse the diary with the Port Shepstone SAP 13. In the Port Shepstone SAP 13, if you go to that loose document that was given to you, remember a loose document was given to you when we came back after lunch?
Uyakhumbula ukuthi lela pheshana lelo wanikezwa kuwena emva kwedina. Ungaphambanisi lezi zinto ndoda, izinto zasePotchefstroom SAP 13.
And the first page, remember we were in the second page where you talk about taking them out for analysis. Do you remember that?
Uyakhumbula ukuthi zathathwa zihanjiswa ukuthi ziyocwaninga ku-analysis.
So if you go to page 8 of the same document,
Bheka ku-page 8 kulo mqulu.
Page 8.
so it's the very last page on page 8.
Ipheshana lokugcina ngci.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yes, thank you.
Now, that's the SAP 13 because you see top of the page it says SAP 13 page 56.
Uyayibona ukuthi yi-SAP 13?
Yes.
Ibhaliwe lapho? Yes.
Now, your entry there is 6.1 on the right column, the extreme right column, and it says 24 June 2021, items 3.1 to 3.31 taken for investigation, warrant officer MF Mpangase. Do you see that?
Uyakubona lokho kushiwo konke? Yes.
So that's where you recorded what you did on the 24th of June 2021. But in your diary, the last entry by you is the 23rd of June, because what then follows is that false entry by Colonel Jacobs, and then his other entries on the 29th and the 1st of July. So in the diary, you did not record the events of the 24th of June 2021.
Uyezwa ke ndoda ukuthi lokhu kubhalwe la kodwa ku-diary yakho do akubhalwanga kuyabonakala lapho ku-24 kubhalwanga lutho kuze uqhubeke kuze kufika ku-29. Uyakubona lokho?
Yeah, ngiyabona.
Yes.
So do you now see my point?
Uyabona ukuthi kuyaphi?
Yebo, ngiyabona.
I do see the point.
Can I just check something still on this? You, in that entry that Commissioner Khumalo raises with you, you say items 3.1 to 3.31 taken for investigation. So you removed all the exhibits on the day?
Yebo, kunjalo.
Yes, it is so.
On the day, on the 24th?
Ngomhla ka-24.
Yebo, kunjalo.
Yes, it's so.
Where were they taken?
Zathathwa zishilo.
This is on the 24th, remember?
Mhla ka-24.
Kusho ukuthi hayi ukuthi ngawathatha ngahamba nawo. Kwi-SAP 13 bafuna ukuthi ungayishiyi ivulekile kanje uma kuwukuthi ama-exhibits angeke abe se-police station. So ngenxa yokuthi ayise
Kancane mfethu singikhohle. Yes, in actual fact, not that I literally took them, but we are required on SAP 13 ukuthi nibhale
yebo
that we must enter. Qhubeka.
sibhala ukuthi siyawakhipha kwi-SAP 13 yase-Potchefstroom sizowafaka kwi-storage yase-Potchefstroom.
We required to state that, enter it, that now they are moving from SAP 13, Spingo,
Potchefstroom.
Potchefstroom. Now they are moving to,
Potchefstroom.
from, as well.
Kwi-SAP 13 register sasiwakhipha.
Oh, I want to mean that we were taking them out of SAP 13
Register.
register.
So
Port Shepstone register.
Yes, a Potchefstroom.
Potchefstroom register.
Potchefstroom, indeed.
So after so we know you take them on the 24th out of the Port Shepstone Police Station register. After that, where are they recorded? From the 25th until they are stolen, where are they recorded, these exhibits? Because we know they are no longer in SAP 13 Port Shepstone.
Yebo sekuzwakele ukuthi ngempela ngembala wakhishwa lapha ngomhla ka-24. 25 qhubeka yaphambili. Kusho kukuphi la kubonisa khona ukuthi kukuphi kwenzakalani kanjani kuphi na? Kukuphi la?
Akubhalwanga ndawo. Into eyenzeka.
That is not recorded anywhere.
Into eyenzeka i-exhibit clerk yafika ne-SAP 13
What happened? Exhibit clerk came with SAP 13
ukuze into engangiyithunyiwe le ukuthi ngenze ukuze si-entarishe ama-exhibits.
I was sent to do so that we enter the exhibits
Kwi-13 yase-Port Shepstone.
in
Kwi-13 register.
in
yase-Port Shepstone.
SAP 13 in Potchefstroom.
So uma efika umnomzane sasisiyawabhala senza i-entry kwi-register wawabona ukuthi akhona
When he arrived, unasho umnumzane sisho bani konjwa?
i-exhibit clerk.
Oh, when the clerk arrived, we then entered them into the register.
Sasisiyawakhipha futhi
We then again removed them
kwi-register.
from the register.
Hayi ukuthi sawathatha sawamuvela somewhere else. No.
Oh, not that we literally moved the items. What I mean by removing it from the register.
Ilokho kuphela kwenzeka.
This is all what happened.
All right, we have the affidavit of the Port Shepstone Police Station exhibit clerk, and he says, page 781 rather,
781.
781.
the same file. Mrs. Kakani, if you were going to deal with this, I will rather leave it to you.
We took the exhibit lapho ya clerk.
Are you happy for me to proceed? Do you have the file in front of you? It's file 3 at
File
page
3?
781.
Page 781.
Yeah,
Yes.
siphambi.
Yes. So, here's what the exhibit clerk from Port Shepstone Police Station says. He says,
Ulalele ukuthi thini le exhibit le.
I have knowledge of the end, at paragraph 2. He said, but firstly he says, I'm the person, my work at the exhibit office includes the processing and ensuring the safeguarding of property that is handed into the SAP 13 at Port Shepstone. So we've been made to understand that this is the custodian of exhibits. Is the one that looks and accounts for exhibits. And then, as you can see there, as you are reading at paragraph 2, it says, I have knowledge of the entry made of exhibits under Port Shepstone SAP 13, that number. According to the entry, it was a large amount of cocaine that was handed in by Detective Warrant Officer Mpangase of the Durban DPCI office. I was not present when the entry was made into the SAP register, nor have I personally seen any of the exhibits that was handed in as per this entry. All I can remember is that I got a call from Brigadier Sibia on the office line asking me to assist members that is in need of forensic bags. So we have the exhibit clerk saying he's never seen these exhibits. He wasn't there when the entries were made on the SAP 13, which contradicts what you are saying, that the exhibit clerk of Port Shepstone Police Station was present when the entries were being made in their SAP 13.
Uyezwa ndoda ukuthi cha ukhona kuhlukile kakhulu lapha uthi wena uthi wayekhona na kwenziwe yena uthi hayi ngekho lapha.
Ngizocela uma kungenzeka kulandelwe lokho akushilo lo ngoba angikholwa.
I'd make a request that we make a follow-up on what he has said, because I do not believe.
Ngoba umuntu owaletha i-exhibit i-SAP 13 register umuntu owayesebenza ePortshepstone.
Because the person who brought that SAP13 register was the person who is employed there
Portshepstone SAPS.
at Potchefstroom SAPS.
Ukuthi ubani angimazi igama lakhe.
Who that person was, I do not know.
The reason I'm reading this to you is to say you are incorrect to say the exhibit clerk. Now you say you don't know his name. You may have had somebody bringing the book, and yes, the evidence is somebody brought the book, and you carried on with the people that were helping you to complete this. And I was simply saying, putting to you that, well, it's the exhibit clerk never saw those exhibits, had nothing to do with the recording, and your evidence that the exhibit clerk was there is incorrect.
Uyabona kushithi ngempela kuyabonisa la ngisobala ukuthi lento ishilwa kuyona ukuthi u-exhibit clerk wayekhona. Kuzwakala kahle ngoba naye kuyatholakala omunye wabasebenzi nguyena wabakhona lapha. Lento ishiyo wena ukuthi u-exhibit clerk cha kuyiphutha.
Kusho ukuthi I assumed ukuthi ngoba kwa-arrangewa wafika ne-SAP13 register yasePortshepstone ngayitshela ukuthi i-exhibit clerk.
Oh yes, that would mean it was just purely my assumption.
Yes.
Because they were informed
They brought you the
beforehand.
book. No, they were not involved. The evidence of the Potchefstroom DPCI people is all that Potchefstroom police station did is they gave you the book. They were not involved with your registering and counting those exhibits. That's the evidence.
Kuyafana nalokho hayi ukuthi bona babe sebeyangena bayanceda lapha wanikezwa nje ibhuku hayi ukuthi bayanceda ngokuthizeni.
Ngiyavuma.
I do agree.
All right. And then let me complete this. In paragraph 3, the exhibit clerk says, I later saw the entry made into the SAP 13 in column 6 of the evidence, in column 6, the evidence that was handed in as per entries 3.1 to 3.31 was booked out on the same day by Warrant Officer Mpangase for further investigation. I never saw any of the items that was handed in, nor has any of these items been physically handed into any of the storerooms under my control. So that's what the clerk says.
Uyakuzwa lokho aqhubeka kusho uClark.
Ngiyavuma. Uma kuwukuthi akuyena ngempela waletha i-register. Ngiyavuma.
I would accept that if indeed he is not the one who brought in the register.
Yes. So back to my question. My question is, once you have booked out all the exhibits, remember your instruction, as you say in your statement, and what Colonel Jacob said to us was, on the 24th, he instructed you to go and take samples, not to book them out, not to book out all the exhibits. He said, go take samples. That's what he says. He sent you to go take samples. You instead, on the 24th, according to the Potchefstroom SAP 13, you booked out all the exhibits out of their records. My question is, once you have booked them out, and therefore Potchefstroom police station is done with them, they're not in their book anymore, where were they recorded after that?
Uyabona ke njengoba kusizwakele ukuthi ngempela ngomhla ka24 uJacobs yena ngokwakhe wathi hamba uye lapha uyothatha amasampuli. Kodwa sekuzwakele ukuthi cha wena wenza okuphambene nalokho wathatha wabooka out kulento kwembhukwini le. Manje umbuzo omkhulu omile ukuthi nasi ibooke out zikuphi manje kwenzakalani ngazo?
Arekhodwe kuphi? Ayina-recordanga ndawo.
They were never recorded anywhere else.
Lastly, so it's fair to say, because they are not recorded on any SAP 13 after the 24th, it's fair to say that nobody knows, well, let me not say nobody, we, the Commission, do not know that when they were stolen later, because there's no record of how many are in SEP's possession at that time, we have no way of knowing that the original number that was booked in on the 22nd at Isipingo Police Station, taken out, booked in at Port Shepstone Police Station, the 3.1 up to 3.34. We have no way of knowing that they were still complete on the day that they were stolen, by the time they were stolen. There's no way of knowing because you never made any record anywhere after the 24th of June. That must be correct.
Njobe ekubheka ukuthi ngempela ngoba emva komshaka 24 hayi khona impela sisithatha amagesi siyacabanga asazi singathi sonke mhlambe khona abaziyo kodwa ke thina ngokuhleli kwethu la asazi ukuthi kahle kahle nenamba yazo basemangaki asele akwaziyo ngoba kubhalwe ndawo.
Yeah,
Yes,
ngiyezwa.
I hear.
Kodwa into engayisho isizathu salokho ukuthi mina ukubukhiwa kumina ngangingasho ukuthi ayisekhona esaphelele futhi ukubukhiwa kumina ngedwa.
Yes, I do concur, but if the key was only handled by me, kept by me only, I would maybe confirm the number, but that was not the case.
Thank you.
Ms. Kakan, can we do this? Warrant Officer, that 8-page document, that standalone 8-page document that we referred you to,
Page 8 le hambela
just to
yodwa.
complete the picture, the entries that you made in the Port Shepstone SAP 13, 3.1 to 3.31. We don't have to go through all of them, just the first page and the last page. It's on page 3 of that document. It starts on page 3 of that document. Just go to page 3. That's the
three.
first item, 3.1.
Page 3.
And that's you making those entries.
Yeah, we mean.
Yes.
Wena
Oh, I was just going to refer you to in the exhibit file, just so that he's not confused. Oh, it's fine.
Maybe you can refer
Okay.
to it for completeness, but because we were dealing with this document and we already went to item 6, I think. So 3.1 is on page 3, and then the last entry, which is 3.31, is on page 7. And that's all you up to page 7.
Yes.
uyabona lokho.
And then on page 8, there's an entry there, 4.1. Can you just read that? What does it say?
Cela ukufunde lapho uyithini le.
So on the left, there's an entry 4.1, and that's still your handwriting. What does that say?
Umbhalo wakho
4.1.
Yes.
Detective Warrant Officer Mpangase, DPCI Durban.
Yes, what does it all say? 4.1, 4.2, 4.4. What were you recording there?
bobhalani lapha kulezi nombolo. Bobhalana mayelana nani?
Ngangirecorda ama exhibits.
I was recording the exhibits.
You were still recording the exhibits, and then your last entry is then this 6.1 to 6.3, where you confirm that items 3.1 to 3.31 are taken for investigation.
Yes.
Yes.
And then after this entry, SAPS does not have a record, a written record of where these exhibits are.
Emva kwalokho isabs ayisazi akukho la kubhalwe khona ukuthi zikuphi le ma exhibit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for example, SAPS does not have a written record that they are all accounted for. To the custody and location of these drugs.
Nakudayari kanjalo kusukela
Yeah.
ngomhla ka 23 akusekho la kuqhubeka
Yeah.
khona ukuthi sekwenzakalani.
Yeah.
Yes.
And maybe then, Mr. Skakan, for the benefit of the transcript, give us the pages in the actual files.
It's under CJC 264.
Uyacacisa ukuthi lelo phepha lihambelana nani?
Page,
Okay.
starting at page 783, but the particular 6.1 is at 789.
So it's CJC 264 from
Yes.
page 783
To 789.
until page 789, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So may I just ask this quick question, Mr. Skakan? Can you please explain this warrant officer? You enter the exhibits in the Port Shepstone SAP 13 register, and you immediately book them out of that register. What was the point of entering them in the register in the first place if you are immediately going to take them out?
Sicela ndoda ukuthi akuchaze kabanzi la. Elapha ePotchefstroom uyayibhalisa lezi zinto uyazibhuka yini uyazifaka. Hawu, ngokucwayiza kweso ndoda masishane nje dudu uyayikhipha futhi. Ungachaza kanjani? Ufaka khipha masishane.
Kwakuyi-instruction enganginikezwe uKenneth Jacob.
That was Jacob's instructions.
That can't be enough. You told us this morning that you are experienced in working with the SAP 13 register. Do you remember saying that in the morning?
Yebo kunjalo.
Also, yes, it's like that.
Now, would you just accept what Colonel Jacob said? If what he said, surely this did not make sense to you, did it? He says, enter these and immediately take them out of the register. Did that make sense to you?
Kodwa nawuyibheka lento ndoda ayisho khona. Usho ukuthi ngabe ukuthi uyakunika umqondo ohlakaniphile, awu lento isebenza ngendlela. Faka khipha masishane. Ngabe uthini lapho? Ubona ngathi yenza ingqondo leyo nto.
Ingakho ngithe ngangenza into engangiyitsheliwe.
But did it make sense? I'm asking a different question.
Yeah, umbuzo ukuthi kodwa ingabe yinto esho kahle make enza ingqondo leyo nto.
Ayenzi sense.
Does not make sense.
And you did it nonetheless, even though it did not make sense. You did exactly that nonetheless.
Lento uyayibona ukuthi iyabheda kodwa uthi hayi ngiqhubeke ngayo. Ngempela waqhubeka kwakwenza.
Ngakwenza.
Yes, I did.
And why would you have done that?
Ngoba
Angizange ngicabange kakhulu ukuthi
I never thought of it that much.
And you knew that the exhibits were going to remain at the DPCI office in Port Shepstone, and that they were not being taken for, the entry said what, for investigation? What did that entry say? The entry said they were to be taken away for investigation. And you knew that that was not the case.
Angithi wawazi futhi kwathi cha kwakungeke kube kanjalo ukuthi lezi zinto zazilapha hayi ukuthi zizohanjiswa ziyele kuyophenywa investigation.
Correct?
Kunjalo.
ayukuthi zazingeke ithathwe.
Not that they were not going to be taken.
No, but as you entered them and immediately booked them out, you knew that they were not going out for investigation at that point, correct?
Ngaleso sikhathi singena zese siyakhishwa masishane. Ufuzile ukuthi wawazi ukuthi ngeke zikwazi kuyokwenziwa kuyohlolwa kuwo.
Kunjalo.
Yes, it is.
And why you knew is because you yourself still locked them in that same walk-in safe. You locked them in there. They were not being taken out for investigations. That's how you knew. You enter them, you book them out, you make an entry that says they are being taken for investigations, and yet you log them in. That same walk-in safe where they were before you made the entry, and book them out at the same time.
Uyabona ukuthi wawazi kaMhlophe kwenzakalani la?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The effect of that, or the essence of that, is that you made a false entry, knowing it to be false.
Into ebonakala ngoMhlophe la. Wayifaka lento owazi ukuthi yashaya la. Akusiyona. Akusiqiniso.
Into engayichaza ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner, kodwa into engayichaza ukuthi ngibhale leya entry ngoba ngazi ukuthi hayi ukuthi investigation yayizokwenziwa ngalelo langa.
To answer you, Commissioner, yes, I entered that entry, but that does not necessarily mean that the investigation was going to be done on that particular day.
The investigation yayingenziwa after sengwakhiphile.
It could have been done after I have removed them.
Kwakuzodependa kwi-IO ukuthi yenza nini investigation ngalawo ma-exhibits.
That was going to be entirely dependent on the IO, investigation officer, as to
As
when
it-
is he going to do it.
I'm sorry. Please finish the sentence.
Start, yeah, okay.
Sorry, so I spoke over you. Please.
As Commissioner pleases. Yes, it was going to be dependent on him as to when was he going to conduct the investigation.
Thank you. That does not answer the question, which is this, but as at the time you made the entry that these were being booked out for investigation, that was a false entry. As at the time you made it, that was a false entry because you are leaving those exhibits inside that walk-in safe, and you are locking them there, and you are taking the key back to General Sinona. As at the time you made that entry, it was false.
Ngalesikhathi ubhala ngaso leso sikhathi obhale ngaso kwakungasiqiniso lento wayisho ngoba uyazi sivaleleke la ukuthi ke wena sizohamba siyo-investigate ngaleso sikhathi ngoba uSinona noKhiya uzonikeza kusho kwangabhali iqiniso.
Ngizobeka ngenye indlela ukuze ngibone ukuthi uzochazeleka yini.
I'll try and clarify this differently. Maybe it would be understood.
Yes.
Ama-exhibit njengale entry le yokuthi ngathi ngiyawabooka out for analysis.
The exhibit, when we refer to the entry that I stated that I was booking them out for analysis.
Ngangasho ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi or immediately after booking them out ngizoyisa for analysis.
That did not imply that I was directly or immediately taking them out for investigation.
Into engangisho ukuthi njengoba ngiwakhipha azogcine esehambile eya for analysis.
What I meant by that was that eventually they'll go for analysis.
Uthi uma wakhipha awuwakhiphi wayise straight lab for analysis.
When you take them out therefrom, you don't immediately take them straight to analysis.
Uyawathatha uhambe uyowafaka kwi-safe yakho e-ofisini.
You take them, keep them in your own safe in your office.
Yes. Uma usuwagcinile ofisini usuthola ithuba lokuthi uwahambise before 7 days uphela busubhala leyo note yokuthi usuyawahambisa for
Well, before the expiry of 7 days, while you are still keeping them, it would be only then when you remove them that you enter into the book, you make an entry.
angazi ke noma uCommissioner uyayithola
No.
I wonder if the commissioner gets where I'm getting with this.
ngiqonda ukuthi ukuwakhipha ngalendlela engawakhipha ngathi aya for investigation ngangasho ukuthi azo investigatewa ngaleso sikhathi.
When I stated that I removed them for investigation, that does not imply that was in
Kwakuzobe-
immediate
Kwakuzoze
point.
kube yi-IO ezowathatha bisiyawahambisa for analysis, of which i-analysis yakhona kusho ukuthi investigation.
That was going to be the duty of the investigating officer to take them, transport them for analysis.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngichazile Commissioner.
I think that is my clear explanation.
Clear is something else. It is.
Hayi,
I'll tell-
hayi, ukuthi uthi iyazicaca leyo nto enye into.
I will
Leyo nto ngakhona.
I will tell you that it is not. You said a few questions back that it would depend on the investigating officer as to when they would take the exhibits from the walk-in safe for analysis, correct?
Uyakuvuma ukuthi uthe kuzoya ngokuthi i-IO wathatha nini?
Yeah.
Yes.
You had no control over that, did you?
Kusho ukuthi aseswa phansi kwakhe our controller wena ngaleso sikhathi. Yes, no.
So the IO could have done this the following day, they could have done it after 3 days, they could have done it after 4 months, for all you know, correct?
Ngoba uye phela usephethe intambo lo. Kusho ukuthi angeze noma kunini. Mhlawumbe emva kwamalanga amathathu, udla kweviki.
Yeah.
Noma nanini mhlawumbe mfake 4 months.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet you have made an entry that says, that books them out, underline booking them out of the SAP 13 register. You have made an entry that books them out of that register on the basis that they are going for analysis.
Khumbula ukuthi wena ngokwakho uwabhuke out. Ubhala lapho. Leyo nto isho ukuthi ayahamba akuyo analyzewa.
You understand that?
Uyakuzwa lo?
Ngiyakuzwa.
And you
Yes.
think that it makes sense for you to have made that entry?
Usho ukuthi ngabe ngempela wenza kahle kunengqondo ukuthi ngabe wabhalisa into ongeyiyo.
Ucommissioner ngingamnxusa ukuthi ahambe abheke amanye ama-13 registers.
No, I don't
Urge the
care.
commissioner to go and check
I don't care about others. I don't care about other. I'm sorry, that did not get translated. Please, can you please
Should I
translate
translate
that?
that?
Sorry. No.
Sinendaba nalokho ukuthi wenze njani.
And also to translate the bit that his response, which was that he can refer me to other exhibit entries. I've already said it in English, so there's no need.
No, uthi hayi kulokhu uthi uzomhamba uthi ayobheka kwezinye indawo ayiyo leyo nto esikhuluma ngayo. Sekushilo kodwa.
So my question is about whether to you it makes sense for you to have made such an entry when the investigating officer, for example, could only have taken those exhibits out of that walk-in safe 4 months after the time you made the entry. As you sit there, can you ever say that that makes sense?
Kodwa
That
ndoda,
your entry makes sense?
ndoda kodwa usho ukuthi ngabe kubhadlile la engqondweni. Ukuthi yina nakubani nabani. Ubhalisa ukuthi nazi yakhishwa manje lezi. Kodwa kuyabonakala ukuthi lo mnomzane angayi. Mhlawumbe emva ke 4 months.
Investigator, not me.
Hayi lo ngisho umnomzane we-investigate.
Oh, okay.
Umnomzane we-investigate. Angayithatha mhlawumbe emva ke 4 months noma kunini. Kodwa unibhale manje namhlanje ukuthi ziyakhishwa.
Mina
Uyakwenza ingqondo lokho.
kuyenza mina
Yes, to me it makes sense.
ngoba
Because
ngibhale i-entry yokuthi izinto ama-exhibit azo-investigatwa
Because
Ukuthi
the entry that I
investigator
have
nini,
inserted there is about things that were going to be investigated.
ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi vela izo-investigate.
Because I know for the fact that they were indeed going to be
Ukuthi ayi
investigated.
oyiwa-investigator nini, angangene-ke lapho.
When I would investigate, it's none of my concern.
So let's use my 4-month intervening period example. So you are basically saying that effectively for 4 months, which was a possibility that they are not taken for analysis for a whole 4 months. So you are effectively saying that it makes sense to you that these exhibits should not have been in any SAPS register because they've been taken out of the Port Shepstone SAP 13 register. So to you, as you sit there, it makes sense that they should not have been in any register. Are you seriously saying so?
Asenze wona lo mfanekiso sesiqale ngawo. Asithi ukhiphile ngalolu suku. Kodwa sithi ngempela lo mseshi uzosithatha mhlambe emva kwe4 months njengoba sicabanga. Usho still kuwe bekuseza ingqondo lokho ukuthi yebo uzasithatha mhlazana ayithatha noma ngaba u4 months kuwe kwenza ingqondo kusalungile lokho. Singabhalwa ngoba kusaziyo ngaleso sikhathi zikuphi kwenzakalani.
It doesn't make sense ukuthi abazange bawasebenza ama-exhibits.
Doesn't make sense that they did not work on the exhibits.
Shortly after swatholile,
Immediately after we found
kuze kuphela u4 months, or noma kubo 4 months.
up to the expiry of 4 months, if that was the case.
Ngokwami fanele ngabe kade bayenza investigation.
According to me, they should have
Ngoba
done that long time ago.
mina ngokwami ngangizokwenza investigation shortly after.
If it was for me, I was going to do that immediately,
Futhi within 7 days.
within the 7 days.
It cannot lie in your mouth to say that. You cannot say that because earlier you already accepted that you had no control over the period when, or you had no control over the time by which the investigator could have taken the exhibits for analysis. You had no control over that. So you cannot say what you've just said.
Khumbula ukuthi awukwazi ukusho lokho okusho manje ngoba ngowakho umlomo uthe abongasana control yalezi zinto nasezi kulapha ku-university.
And you cannot tell us what you would have done or by when you would have taken the exhibits for analysis. This was not you. And you accepted that you had no control over that. So you cannot say or give the explanation that you've just given.
Awukwazi usitshela ngawe ukuthi wena ngabe wenze kanje. Awusekho wena usathintwa uwe sesiphethwe ngawe sezandleni yomunye umuntu lezi zinto. Lokuthi wena ngabe uzowenza mhle 7 days yonke leyo awusangeni wena nje.
Into engishoyo ukuthi akuyenzi sense ukuthi athe sitholakele ama-exhibit kwahlalwa isikhathi eside.
Please don't repeat the same thing you've just said.
Cela ungaphindi lokho okhulumile usokushilo ndoda.
Because I'm asking you something else, now I'm moving forward. I'm saying you cannot say that because you had no control over on the question of the timing of taking the exhibits for analysis. You had no control over that. So you can't repeat what you said 2 questions earlier.
Sibheka isikhathi ke ndoda ukuthi kwenzeka nini kanjani bokasana ngamandla ukuthi ucontrol lokho ukusho ukuthi kuzokwenzeka nini kanjani.
Kusho ukuthi umbuzo kaCommissioner angutholi.
Maybe I don't follow the question.
I'm saying you cannot say what does not make sense is the fact that investigations, in my example, would not have taken place immediately, and you say at the latest within 7 days. That is what you've said, correct?
Kusho ukuthi bongeke uvumelane ukuthi ngabe kwenza ingqondo kule mfanekiso esubekayo wemama inyanga ezu4.
Yeah.
Bengeke uhambelane ngoba wena ushilo ukuthi webheke ukuthi mhlambe emalangeni awu7.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm saying is, you cannot say that because you were not the investigator. You've said so earlier when you were being asked, and you said you did not even stand in prior to the return of Colonel Jacob, correct?
Ngokuya kwakho ushilo ukuthi awuzange uvumele ukuthi uwozoba ibamba lakhe azabuye uKenneth Jacob.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, the explanation you give about by when the investigator ought to have taken the exhibits for analysis, you have no control over that. So what you are telling us and what you say makes or does not make sense, does not respond to my question. Because you had no control over the timing, the investigator's timing. You had no control over that. So the explanation you give simply does not make sense. Do you understand my question now?
Uyezwa ke ndoda.
Ngezwa.
Now please respond and give me a response that makes sense.
Impendulo yakho ithini ke lapho?
Hey,
Hey.
le mpendulo. Ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner Bandlanga kusho ukuthi khona la engilahleka khona Mbijana.
No, you said you understand my question.
Yabona ndoda uthi wena akakhona lahle kodwa uthi uyakuzwa uthi wena hayi ngikubuziwe ukuthi uyezwa kahle wathi yebo.
Yeah, ngishilo.
Yes, I did say so.
Ngishilo.
Now, why
Khona
do
la
you-
engilahleka khona ngoba ngithi ngiyaphendula athi uCommissioner angiphenduli ngale.
I think I miss a point somewhere because when I endeavor to answer, but the commissioner says no. It's not the answer.
If you understand the question, you should be able to give an answer, whatever the answer may be, but I will leave it there.
Asizoyeka ngoba ngowakho umlomo uthe kusho wena uzange uthi ayengizwanga kahle uthe ngezwe kahle. Manje uthi lekuphendula kodwa uthi asiyeke leyo into.
Warrant officer, just one thing from me. I believe that entry you made on the 24th of June is false. You were not booking out the exhibits for investigation.
Uyavuma ukuthi uyakubona kwakhe lento wayibhala la kuyiyo. Ukhuphuza ama ukuthi la owabhala lapha ukuthi usikhiphile akusinjalo.
Ngayibhala yabhalwe mina le entry ayingekho futhi false.
No, it was not. I'm the one who entered that entry.
And let me explain why I say it is false and misleading. Because a day earlier, on the 23rd, and we see that in your diary, your last entry in the diary, on page 802, you had already taken samples for investigation. You say samples were taken out of the bags, they were put in exhibit bags, and they were sealed, and they were going to be taken to FSL. So that's the investigation. So that happened the day before. What you were doing on the 24th had nothing to do with exhibits being sent to the laboratory for investigation. Because the day before, you had already done that. So when you were making an entry on the 24th to say you are taking out all the exhibits for investigation, that was false and misleading. Because that was not the purpose of that entry. It had nothing to do with exhibits being made available for the investigating officer to take them to the lab. Because that you had done the day before.
Ngokufinqiwe ke ndoda ukuthi ayikhona. Uyasidukisa. Lana ayikhona manga. Akusile iqiniso ngoba vele ngelanga ngaphambi kwe24. Ukembosa ukuthathile lama samples. Amabheka khona wawasila wawavala wawahambisa lento ayibhala ngomhla ka24 into eyenzekele engayizolo kwe24 akusasile iqiniso ukuthi bowusayenza lokho.
Understand ukuthi ngenziwa yini ukuthi ngenza false entry.
I don't understand why would I put a false entry.
Lento engayibhala lapha ya iyona.
What appears there is the fact.
Injengoba ngisho, njengoba ngibhalile futhi.
It
Angizange
is-
ngihamba manga.
The way it is, the way I've stated it, it's not a lie.
So I guess the entries and your diary will speak for themselves, and I will leave it there.
Sizokuyeka lapha kodwa lokho kubhalile ne-diary yakho hayi kuzoyixoxa indaba. Siyeka lapho.
Just still on this topic, that you were holding the inquiry file for Colonel Jacob. And everything that you did, we know from your statement, he gave you instructions on the 23rd, you tell us, that's what you say in your statement. He gave you instructions to go and put this stuff in exhibit bags, to enter them in the SAP 13, to go and take samples. So you didn't do anything independently. You were acting, because you were holding for him, you were acting with everything that you did relating to these. Is that correct?
Kuyiqiniso ukuthi hayi ukuthi wawuzenzela wena ukuthi kusuka kuwe. Wawulandela lokho otshelwe khona.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it must be then that when you make the entry in the Port Shepstone SAP 13, where you take out from their SAP 13, where you take out these exhibits, that's not your own independent initiative, because this is not your file. This is not your inquiry file. It must be that you were acting on Colonel Jacob's instruction to sign them out.
Konke lokho esikhulunywa nokukhipha lapho kuthatha lamazwi hayi ukuthi wena bowuzimela uthi hayi sengicabanga ukwenza kanje ngicabanga ukwenza kanje ya bowulandela ngokuya kwakho into otshelwe yona.
Akunjalo.
No, it is not so.
Okay, explain how it is you make that decision independently
Ufike kanjani
in a
kulesi
file.
sinqumo?
Sorry.
I-exhibit clerk eyayikhona ngaleso sikhathi.
The exhibit clerk who was present at that moment,
Iyona eyasho ukuthi since siwagcina lapha ya DPCI offices asiwabhuke out.
he's the one who suggested that since we keep them in
Siwagcina lapha DPCI offices ama exhibit
Yeah.
asiwabhuke out.
since we keep them in that DPSI,
DPCI
then he said we must book them
out. Yes.
book them out actually.
So why, if that is so, and this is something we are hearing for the first time,
Siqala ukuzwa ke lokho.
if that is so, why was your entry not that they booked out for storage at DPCI? Why did you say that instead of this false recorder that you are taking them out for investigation?
Awukushongo ngani ke lokho ngoba siyaqala ukuzwa lokho manje. Ingazange ungani ungazange ukusho eqaleni.
Kusho ukuthi one ngizothi iphutha, two ukuthi sijwayele ukuthi masibhuka out ama exhibit ube nezizathu sokusho sokuthi uwabhuka out for investigation or uwabhuka out for analysis.
I would say firstly it was a mistake from my part. Kwesibili ukuthi
Uwabhuka out for analysis.
the second one that we book them out for analysis.
Hayi ngoba uwabhuka out for analysis ngalelo langa.
That does not mean you book them for analysis, meaning on that specific day they're going to be analyzed.
No, that's not a good enough answer. We know you're not booking them out for investigation. We know that, fact. So it's a lie that is recorded here that you are taking them out for investigation, but also as a matter of fact, it's a lie. That's not why you booked them out. They were not to be investigated. According to you, they were being booked out because, out of their book, you're taking them out of the SAP 13 because the clerk said to you, well, you are keeping them somewhere. Take them out of my book. So they are out of their book. They're not there. you know at that time, when you make this entry, that you are taking them out of the book because they are stored somewhere, not for investigation, because they are stored somewhere. And my question is, that's what you should have recorded if you were not intending to mislead about the purpose of taking them out, because this is misleading. This says we took them out for investigation. We know for a fact that's not true. So you are misleading here. And you don't have a good reason why you chose to mislead in this way and say they are out for investigation on your own version, that they were taken out because they were being stored somewhere else. And the diary should have said, for storage because they are stored at the PCI. But as matters happen, there's absolutely no record of what you did with them after you booked them out. SAPS has no record of that.
Uyezwa ke ndoda ngokufinqiwe ukuthi ngempela bosidida umqondo ukuthi lezi zinto ziyathathwa zisayoyenza ucwaningo zicheckwe ku-investigate. Ukwazi kamhlophe ukuthi ziyathathwa zisayobekwa kwenye indawo. Udida umqondo nje uthanda ukuthi abantu baxakekise kungazwakali kahle ngoba ngempela le gama mislead uyalazi ndoda ke singithi lithatha lokushonisele kanti wena ubhekele ngamabomu uwazi ukuthi akwenzeki ngalendlela akubhalwanga ndawo ukuthi sithatha ziyobeka ulathi umqondo ukuthi ziyahanja zisayo ku-investigate.
Ngiyamuzwa uCommissioner uthi i-entry is misleading. Ngangayibhalelani i-entry emisleadayo. Ang-understand ukuthi why.
Wayibhala. You wrote it.
Utshela ngesakho usizwa kahle wayibhala.
Asike isidingo sokuthi ngibhale
There was no reason for me to put that.
mina ngabhala ngendlela esijwayele ukubhala ngayo ukuthi uma ukhipha ama-exhibit awusho ukuthi uyakhipha uwayisa e-ofisini uyawakhipha uwayisa endaweni yokuthi uyawakhipha for investigation or uwakhiphe for analysis.
No, it was per the way we normally do things.
All right.
Just take
Thank
them
you.
out and you just write for investigation, for whatever purposes. So we took them out.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just very brief questions and clarities. We've gone through what happens on the 23rd and 24th, and I don't think we need to belabor those occurrences. What seems to have been the case is that Colonel Jacob was hands-on even when he was out of duty. Did you keep updating him, or did he call you about what needs to happen, or you were consulting him to say, I don't know, what must we do next?
Uyabona siyabona umhla ka-23 24 izinto ezenzakala kodwa ke into ebonakala la uJacob bekazi kahle ngokumhlophe ukuthi kwenzakalani bombhalansisa isikhathini esiningi ukuthi kanje kwenzakala lokhu nalokhu ayabazi kahle kuyakhomba isa ngokusobala ngabe kunjani
uJacob sakhuluma naye kabili mangikhumbula kahle.
If I remember very well, I only spoke with him only twice.
Engitshela indaba ukuthi engithuma ukuthi ngihambe ngiyo-unpacka ngisile ama-exhibits
Instructing me to go and unpack the exhibits,
nokuthi ngihambe ngiyothatha ama-samples.
as well as that I should go and take the samples.
Emva kwalokho angizange ngisakhuluma naye mayelana nomsebenzi.
Thereafter, I never interacted with him regarding work.
Okay. Then, just on the date of the 23rd, well, which carries from the 22nd, if you go to the file, I think it's file 2,
22 or 23 date, got pay file 2 lab.
CJC 243,
CJC 243.
page 579,
Page 579.
that file.
579.
This is a statement by Andres Bernardus van den Berg.
Yalibona le gama libizayo? File
Yeah,
le-
ngiyalibona.
Yes, I can see the name.
File 2, page 579.
Page 579, uye lo.
Yebo, wona.
Yes.
Wona.
So this is a statement from Anders Warrant Officer van den Berg. I'm not going to go through it at much detail, but if you turn over to page 580, we've heard about what transpired on the 22nd, how the exhibits were handled. But then on page 580 at paragraph 4, he then details, and I don't need to, I just want to refer you to him assisting you about counting the exhibits. But what he says is that it seems that the scene was chaotic and no one was, everyone was just handling the exhibits. Would you agree with this, or there was some manner of controlling the counting?
Uyabona ndoda lapha sho ukuthi kwakuyingqubeko ebhange lapho nje umunye umuntu ole nomunye le kwakungekho ingathi indlela elandelwayo econtrolekile ukuthi ubani wenzani.
Ngiyayibona lento ebhalela.
I see with that on this.
So if there were about, I don't know the math per se, but 500, over 500 bricks, is it 500 bricks?
541.
541.
541 you say.
And everyone was moving about. It could have happened that some or people may have tampered with the exhibits.
Ngenzeka ukuthi nje abantu bezula phansi phezulu lapho ngenzeka ukuthi bakhona abanye bathi thinta lapho ngali kulama exhibit.
Ayikho lento ayishoyo.
No, what is saying it's not so.
Okay, so it was the integrity of the exhibit was contained.
Yeah.
Kusho ukuthi wazi kahle kwenzakalani ngalo. Yes.
Okay. Then, what is most peculiar for me is what he then says about booking the exhibits. It's the highlighted part. And he says,
highlight corner.
I also had the members had to call around for forensic bags, and they spoke to Warrant Officer Mkomo of DFL at my office to arrange forensic bags that they needed. I arranged with Potchefstroom Station that Warrant Officer Mpangase can enter all the cocaine into the sub-13 and sign it out for further investigation, avoiding transporting all the cocaine to the station due to the security risk and logistics involved. I told the station the cocaine was in the process of being moved to Cape Town and it just needed to be booked in and out for the purpose of the chain of custody. Is what he is saying there correct?
Uyabona ukuthi into ayishoyo lapho. Kunjalo.
Angizange ngizwe ekhuluma kanje.
Awuzange?
Angizange ngizwe ekhuluma kanje.
I did not hear him saying this.
Okay. And your interaction with him was just on the counting of the exhibits?
Ukukhulumisana kwakho kwakukhulumayelana nokubala kwale ma exhibit.
Nokuthi angamkhumbuli nokuthi ubalwa.
I don't even remember who this person is.
Okay. No, that's fine. Then, Commissioners, you can put that file aside. It may not, it will need it.
Maybe because you're on this page in that paragraph, to just further point out something that Commissioner Kumalo pointed out to you in your diary, that you took the samples on the 23rd. The deponent in this affidavit at 580 says the same thing. He says you took the samples on the 23rd, which is what you say also in your diary. Okay.
Uyabona ukuthi kuyafana ngalo mhla 23 namasampuli wathu usho njalo utakhishwa la nala kushiwo njalo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not correct in your statement where you say that Colonel Jacobs on the next day, remember at paragraph 16 of your statement, you say on the following day, which is the 23rd, Colonel Jacob called you to go and get FSL bags. And then at paragraph 17, you say, again, I received a call on the next day. That next day cannot be the 24th, it's the 23rd. On your diary and Van der Berg's.
Uyabona diary ni yakho kubhalwe njoba esho umcommissioner ukuthi ngeke kube kanjalo.
Kungenzeka.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it is possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then on the days that follow, you said you only discussed with Colonel Jacob, I would presume it would be the 23rd and 24th. Now he comes back on the 29th. As the person handling the inquiry, what was your plan about investigating the matter? Were you simply just going to hold on to it and wait for Colonel Jacob?
Manje ubheke ndoda kusuka la madate abalwayo 23 24 kuzofika nge29. Iplan yakho kwakuyini ukuthi la malendo uzolokhu wagcinile kwenzakalani ngawo?
Iplan yami mayelana nani?
My plan concerning what?
The exhibit and the inquiry.
Mayelana nama exhibit ne inquiry.
I-exhibit ngawanikeza ngahanda over yonke into ukhuluma amapha amazibiti kuqala.
The exhibit I handed over to, but before I answer, which exhibit are you referring to?
So you're in charge of this inquiry, right?
Angithi we in charge manje kule inquiry.
You've done the sampling. In fact, I'll go there. I'm asking, was it understood that you won't do anything? You didn't have any desire to do anything or investigate anyhow until Jacob comes back?
Uya kwakho wangalangazeleli ukuthi khona uzokwenza noma uqhubeke ngophenyo azabuye.
Yebo kunjalo.
Jacobs, yes.
Okay. And you know that the exhibits must be sampled within 7 days?
Uwazi ukuthi insukwini ezu7 funeke sezenziwe sanje si.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
Okay. Then when he comes back, this Colonel Jacob, you would have gone with him on the 1st of July to the depot, back to the depot. Did you go with him? Sorry, did you go with him?
Mhlaka 1 kuJuly wahamba naye kuyedepo.
Kungenzeka
It is
kodwa
possible.
ngikhumbula kungifikile kodwa kungenzeka.
I just cannot remember, but it is possible.
Okay. And did you take any statements within that month or shortly, either in June or July, from people that were there?
Ngabe khona ama-statement awayithatha mhlawumbe kusukela kuJune kufika kuJuly
Angizange.
kubantu no,
Angizange.
never.
Okay. Thanks. I'll just paint what I see as a picture and you can comment on it.
Uzokhuluma kulokho akubonayo.
But what seems to have been the case is that two scenarios in which Commissioner Baloyi has pointed out is that either Colonel Jacobs was exploited your ignorance or ignorance for this operation in order to and he was the one that was giving you instructions, but he remained the master mind around these exhibits. He wanted to be in control. That's why he didn't want anyone else who would have been more experienced.
Uthi ngocabanga ukuthi yena ubona ngathi uJacob lo wadlala ngawe ubona ukuthi hayi lo ulahlile akazi lutho. Engafuni ukuthola umuntu onolwazi olunzulu ngalomsebenzi. Wasethatha wena. Ebona ukuthi hayi kuwe kuyehlela.
Angeke ngisho ukuthi for sure.
Ngekusho ukuthini?
Ukuthi for sure kwakunjalo.
I would never say that with any certainty if that was the case.
Okay. Commissioners, I think let me not take it further.
Warrant Officer, we got evidence from Colonel Jacob and General Sinona that at some point you left the employ of DPCI. When was this? When did you leave?
Kuyezwakele ke ebufakazini beka Jacob no Sinona ukuthi kwaba khona isikhathi la wake wayeka emsebenzini lapha
2021.
kwakunini 2021.
When in 2021?
Nini ngo-2021?
November, I think.
November.
And what was the reason for leaving? Was it retirement? Was it a resignation? That's unclear. We've got contradictory evidence about that.
Uyabona kukhona la singezwa kahle khona kuyaphambana. Wayeka ngoba usuthatha impesheni. Unoma uthatha wayeka noma kanjani? Kwenzakalani?
Kunezathu.
There are reasons.
Personal, but
these reasons are personal.
ngingasisho eceleni hayi la.
I cannot say that in this open forum.
So it wasn't, you were not due for retirement.
Bese ngafika isikhathi uthatha umhlalaphansi. No.
Okay, so when Colonel Jacob said that it was widely known in the office that you were planning to retire, and that's how you left, you retired, he's not correct.
Manje kwabona ithi hayi kwakwaziwa ubani nobani ukuthi hayi wena vele usufuna ukuthatha umhlalaphansi. Akusiqiniso lokho.
Akulona iqiniso leyo.
That is not true.
Okay, which is what General Sinona said. He said it's not true that you were retiring. So General Sinona confirmed what you're saying. Are you presently back in the SAPS?
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that is so.
Since when?
Kusukela nini?
Ngo 14 February.
Since 14th February
2026.
2026. Yes.
2026.
All right, thank you.
Can we just, did you retire or resign before the date when the exhibits were stolen, or was it after? Because we know they were stolen during the weekend of the 7th and 8th of November. When did you resign or retire? Was it after that or before that?
Phela lezi zinto zathathwa 7 November. Wena sifuna ukwazi ukuthi bosuhambile.
Before.
Uhambe before. I left before.
I resigned before.
I resigned before the day.
So how did you get to know that the exhibits were stolen?
Manje wafika kanjani kuwe ukuthi ntshontshiwe wazi kanjani?
Uma ngithi I resigned before. Ngafaka i-application yokuresigna before ama exhibit antshontsho.
Now what I mean, okay.
Entshontsho ngangikhona ngisekhona.
Now what I mean by resignation is that I put the application there off. But when they were stolen, I was still around.
Can you just explain that a bit? Because your letter of resignation said with immediate effect, or that's what we were told, that you resigned with immediate effect. But if you say you put in a letter and the exhibits were lost while you were still there, it suggests you gave notice. Can you just explain how that worked? And if you can...
Uyabona na umuntu lokho ya resign athatha notice. Kodwa ngoyakho uyithi wathi sengizwile ngihamba manje. uyaresigna manje uhamba manje. Manje usowuthi futhi wawusasekhona akhathi sijontsha uchaza kabanzi.
ngafaka i-application yokuresign
I put in the resignation application.
yaprocesswa ngase ngiyatshela ukuthi ngizoresigna ngoNovember month end yaNovember.
When it was processed, I was then informed that I was going to resign in November.
All right, thank you.
Warrant officer, thank you very much. You are excused.
Siyahamba ndathi sungakhululeka.
Mr. Kaminde, many thanks to you
As the
for,
commissioner, please.
for the wonderful job you did. Most appreciated. We resume at 9:30 on Monday.
Thank you, Chair.
Let's adjourn and just.
Oh, sorry, hlala phansi wena. Sorry.
Yeah, we resume at 9:30 on Monday, but we will be resuming with the testimony of witness M, which will be in camera. Let's adjourn.